There's a part in the Declaration of Independence which reads, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." On June 19, 1865, this country began to realize the meaning of that declaration for all of its citizens, as enslaved people in Texas were finally freed. This significant date in American history is known as Juneteenth. Hi, I'm David Swope, Manager of Student Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at College of DuPage, and we are excited to bring awareness to the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of enslavement in the United States. Juneteenth is a day of reflection, of rejoicing. It's a time of assessment, self-improvement, and planning for a positive future. To help inform and expand our understanding of Juneteenth, we will hear from Black Student Alliance Representative Noah Thompson. Then, following Noah, we will hear from College of DuPage's Dr. Felix Davis, Associate Professor of Computer and Information Technology. Dr. Davis is also a minister and a veteran who is very active in his community, promoting social agendas for positive growth and development. Following Dr. Davis, we'll give a brief overview of our Juneteenth Awareness and Celebration Luncheon that will happen later today at 12 noon. But first, let us hear from Noah.
I heard it during 2020. I've never heard about it before, actually. I found out by my mother telling me, and she was explaining to me what Juneteenth was and how it started, why it started, and now it's a holiday. To me, it means a great step forward in that time for African Americans to leave their lives of being enslaved and for them to move on to find better opportunities and better lives for them and their families. Juneteenth is extremely important. It's a part of US history, and as harsh some history parts are in American history and history of the world, there are also some great progress stages in the United States history. And this is one of them because when we come to think of it, the European settlers brought African slaves from Africa to not only the United States, but to the West Indies in South America and Central America. And in the United States, not only African Americans, but other races as well experienced horrible discrimination, but especially African Americans. And to show that Juneteenth is a time for African Americans or enslaved Africans to be free, that is a big progress. Because the United States had July 4th as their Independence Day, like their independence from Britain, but they didn't necessarily meant freedom for every American because they still enslaved the Africans, Americans. And now that Juneteenth is basically our 4th of July, my family and I, we come together and go over what is Juneteenth. We celebrate things African American related. We watch African American films. We just look more into our history, which we may have not learned before, or our culture. And I think just us being together, cooking African American soul food, or just listening to our music and enjoying each other, that is a way we celebrate Juneteenth. What I would like to say is history and education is extremely important. If you don't know history, history in a way can repeat itself. Because if you don't educate yourself on, example, racism, if you don't educate people on racism, because racism is taught, if you don't educate people who have that view on certain people on why it's bad, society really won't get better. So education and history play a big factor in that, because that shows you what racism and discrimination does to persons and people.
The term Juneteenth is somewhat of an acronym for the date of June 19th, dating back to 1865. As of June 17th, 2021, Juneteenth is a U.S. federal holiday. It is a day designated to commemorate the emancipation of enslaved Black Americans. Considering we are quickly approaching June 19th, 2022, it is a great celebratory time. It is great news that we have advanced to the point of a nationally, federally recognized holiday. We should applaud all the efforts of those that have brought us this far. We stand on the shoulders of heroes. But I propose to you, this is a surface level acknowledgement. While it is a great accomplishment to have this designation of this newly created U.S. federal holiday, the simple designation alone falls short of telling the overall history of Juneteenth. Juneteenth has been celebrated in the Black community for over 100 years. Original celebrations date back as far as 1865, starting in Galveston, Texas. Although the actual Emancipation Proclamation was signed January 1st, 1863, it wasn't until 1865, 2.5 years later, that it was enforced under what is known as the General Order No. 3. Considering these details, there are questions we have to ask ourselves as Americans. Why did it take 2.5 years for the state of Texas and other states to adhere to the Emancipation Proclamation? What was happening in the lives of those who were enslaved and the enslavers? What are the long-term lasting effects of this situation and others like them? Why does Juneteenth matter today? Some 157 years later, I'm going to encourage you to take a look at the Juneteenth reference guide being produced by the College of DuPage's Diversity and Inclusion Office. I'm going to conclude this discussion by answering the latter of my own questions. Juneteenth matters today because it is my history. Juneteenth is your history. Juneteenth is U.S. history. We all should know and study all of our history for the purpose of making a better future. So enjoy and celebrate the holiday of June 19th, but please don't forget the history behind the holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah and Dr. Davis, for that insight into the significance of Juneteenth and how it is recognized. The Student Diversity Office also wants to thank the Black Student Alliance, Student Life, Student Development, Marketing, Multimedia, Conferences and Events, Sodexo, Counseling and Advising, and others for their great work and collaborative efforts. Now, we invite everyone to come out at 12 noon in the Student Life Lounge for our Juneteenth Awareness and Celebration Luncheon. There will be an interactive photo display, an outdoor-style luncheon with live music from our special guest artist, the D.L. Perkins Singers, led by COD's alum and former Black Student Alliance president, Dante Perkins. We will also have free giveaways. Most importantly, this will be a time for us to share and talk to one another about what we know and find out some of the things that we don't know about Juneteenth. Juneteenth is about freedom, liberation, humanity, and hope for this country. So let's come together and enjoy this time of teaching and learning at College of DuPage. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you soon.